If the first game of breaks no get you know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, do the game, tap, this win it. First year again, we're here for the first May. Carry body, keep it up 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Doesn't have to be perfect, ain't gonna be perfect. We go compete for 60 freaking minutes. All right, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the environment, and then go play our butts off, play for one another, and have a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody got me? Yes, all right.
I don't know. Truly, like, I don't know how I could answer that because I don't know what it would take. Really, I don't know what it would be until I feel accomplished. If we win that natty, when we win that natty, then I'll say, like, my story's been good.
Make the decision. You're either a Vol or you're not, through thick and thin.
Well, you get the urgency of the competition. Grade those guys every day. Certainly understand that you don't just put the Tennessee helmet on and positive things happen for you on game day. This is a game where you got to go make it happen. All those guys are in the growth. Talking about the young guys in particular, right? Like there's not an end destination, man. It's a journey to continue to grow, to be the player that you need, and then to operate 11 guys operating as one, offense, defense, and all special teams too. So, we're a long ways from kickoff. We got a chance to be a good team, but we gotta continue to grow.
Mean! Woo! My God! Gene!
But you know what? Let's talk a little Vols. That is not me trying to take any shine away from the phenomenal channel Talkin VAWLS, and my guy Boogie Bentley runs, so shout out to them. But let's talk a little Vols here.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. The band is back together. Coach Jay is in the house. The X Factor is here. Dauber's giving, man, that feels like the Jordan flu game. I feel like we're watching the Jordan flu game. Dauber's going to get through this thing. We're going to get through it together. Man, 3 days. We are 3 days away from the orange and white game. Been kind of a quiet spring. That could maybe be a good thing. I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk about the orange and white game. Let's talk about the spring game. Let's pull up Tennessee football on Twitter. See ya Saturday. Join us on Rocky Top. They're going to do the Vol Walk orange and white game at 2 o'clock. The Talkin VAWLS Network is going to be hanging out. G10 parking garage. It opens at 7 o'clock. Me and X, we're going to be hanging out with Coach Jay in Knoxville on Friday night.
Yeah,
do you think we can we make it there by 7 o'clock? Do you guys think we're going to make it by 7 o'clock?
I'm not betting on us if that's what you're asking.
You guys
there
can
will be
also
no money bet on it, but I'll try.
Come hang out with us for that too. Friday night, Calhoun's by the river. I don't know. How do you do this? Like, I was just talking to Culberson about it today, and he's like, you're going to send out an open invite to everybody? I'm like, what happens when you have a table of 6? We're all sitting down having drinks.
I got it. I got it. Everyone is welcome to come join Talkin VAWLS Network at Calhoun's. Drinks, alcohol, and food is on Boogie Bentley.
Whoa,
See you there
whoa.
Friday night.
Oh, hey, let's pump the brakes for just 1 second here. Let's pump the brakes for 1 second. We will be there Friday night hanging out, having a good time. Diver, kick this thing off, man. Let's talk about the orange and white game. I don't want to talk football. I want to talk experiences, what the spring game means. You've said it before. I've said it before. It's an opportunity, right, for families, for kids that maybe they can't afford to go during the season. It's a family event. Talk a little bit about that.
So, I've always loved the orange and white game. As a kid, I got to go as a student down there. I went. I always enjoyed back in the day when you used to be able to get on the field and walk around to the position groups and get autographs and all that. I've not broke down and taken my kids to an actual game yet because they can't sit through a full game at home right now and watch it. So I feel like that's just kind of throwing money out the window. But the orange and white game is always a good experience because there's so much to do. It's so geared towards, that they have all the stuff beforehand. It's a lot of fun for kids and it is a little bit more economical for families. Which does make the news with spring games and all that going on right now. Teams wanting to cancel them, scrap them. The fact that this is not going to be broadcast, except for radio, is kind of it's a bummer. But we've talked about the landscape of college football and where we are now this day and time, and I guess you got to change with the times, and that's you've seen Danny White. He's been a master so far. So
there's something, I think what we've got to do with Coach Jay's going to be here. Dauber, you're trying to make it. Obviously, me and X are going to be there because it's not going to be broadcast on TV. A lot of people won't be there. I think maybe we go live again next Wednesday at 7:00, and we kind of recap what we saw at the orange and white game. Maybe share some stories of getting to hang out with everybody and just kind of break it down. So maybe next Wednesday at 7, we'll do the same thing. But Dauber, you bring that up. You mentioned that it's not on TV. It's not on, it's radio only. You can't stream. You're not going to be able to watch this. You're not going to be able to put eyes on it. And that's been something that we've talked a lot about. It seems like spring games are going away. But I played this in a video earlier this week. We're going to watch Heupel's press conference, but I want to play this clip and then, Coach, tell me what your thoughts are, because this is not what I expected from Josh Heupel.
And I guess with the growing trend nationally, too, of spring games kind of going away, how do you kind of view the importance of that, or is that something that you plan to keep for the future?
Yeah, for us, it's a third opportunity to play football in a game day like situation. I think it's really important for the young guys. They get a chance to go out and perform in front of people. It's a part of the growth for them as we get ready for kickoff next fall. So I'm looking forward to seeing a huge crowd. I'm not sure what we're limited to because of construction, but expect that thing to be packed out. It should be a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing our fans.
In the words of Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you, Coach. I do not believe a word you just said. I think you'd rather keep it quiet behind closed lights and let them hit and let them work a little behind closed doors. But as a player, I think he appreciates it probably. I think the players get a kick out of the spring game. So for that reason and for the fans, it's worthwhile. But I think from a coaching standpoint, it's better to be behind closed doors always, and not have that. What's the word for it here? When fans are watching, and you want to kind of create a game-like atmosphere as much as you can, it's a little different than a scrimmage, right? You're actually kind of like creating a game type atmosphere, and people tend to zip around a little more during games like that. You tend to get a little more of those injuries that pop out. See Ethan Davis the other year. So I think for those reasons, Coach, rather it be a little quiet. But hey, if they're willing to keep the spring game around, I certainly want to watch it.
What do you think? Like continuing that X? Like, okay, so it's closed. You can't see it. You can't stream. You can't watch it. You got to be there. We live in the day and age of NIL, pay to play. It takes money. So let's close it off. The only way you can see it is to be there. Let's raise the ticket price just a little bit, and let's put every single penny that comes through that gate to NIL. And I think if people can't watch it on TV, maybe I don't know if you could sell that thing out, but maybe you can raise a little bit of money for NIL.
Yeah, and that's just the thing what you just said right there is that, yeah, like you can't see it on TV. You can only hear it through radio, but that is the key. And we all know, like saying Danny White, he's doing a really, really good job as far as like bringing money into the university and everything. So in a way, this is kind of pushing people to kind of be like, well, you know, if you want to, like saying, come get that experience, you know, saying like at the ball walk and to see the game and everything that, yeah, I mean, listen, we all know in this world, it takes money to do certain things in life, right? So, I mean, I can kind of see the two side of the coin with this. I mean, yeah, it is kind of a bummer. It's not being broadcasted and you can, you know, sit at the comfort of your own home and, you know, watch it and everything. But then on the flip side of it too, is that, you know, if you have the money or if you don't care to save up or even if you've been to the orange and white game before, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I think as long as I've been a fan, I think this is literally like my second orange and white game that I've ever been to like live in person. Because, you know, years before I'd never been to an orange and white game because, you know, I could never save up or I was busy or whatever. But I just think this is just a good experience and a good time to say, like, you know, like if you're just curious to know what that atmosphere looks like in Knoxville, then man, let me tell you, it's a very, very great opportunity to, you know, get you a ticket that costs hardly anything. And to go into Neyland Stadium and to experience that, go experience the ball walk to where it makes you be like, okay, so when the season starts, I definitely want to save up and, you know, buy a game ticket and actually come back to Knoxville and see what that's like on a game day atmosphere. And man, let me tell you, it's worth every penny in my opinion.
We're going to go through some comments from Josh Eibel. Scrimmage number 2 went down Monday morning inside of Neyland Stadium. We're going to talk about what we're wanting to see in that orange and white game as well. But come on in, smash the thumbs up, share out the link, let people know we're live. Todd Landers drops a $5 super chat, says Dorothy, hello, Vols fam, GBO. Shout out, Todd. We appreciate your super chat, my friend. Also, James Bubba Shrum drops a 5 spot and says, ask Dauber how our game went. If you're wondering, we've got an EA Sports College Football Dynasty over on Patreon. The link to join that is in the description. Dauber, what happened, my friend? Did you get humbled?
I thought I was going to get my first user win. It was neck and neck, back and forth. And he threw a bomb with like less than a minute left to beat me. So yeah,
sounds like Butch Jones isn't to me.
I did not have a good time playing Seth the other night. He had a running back that had 9 broken tackles for 170 yards after contact. How do you stop 170 yards after contact? But we're still having fun, and you guys can come over and you can check it out. But again, smash the thumbs up, share out the link. That's quick, free, easy, and we would appreciate it. Get some eyes on this stream. Gosh, I just feel like our fan base is so deflated right now. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating, but I'm excited. And I think we have a lot to be excited about. And I called an audible a couple of weeks ago because I listened to Isaiah Campbell's interview with the media, and I had to bring it up. I had to talk about it. And the same thing happened today. The exact same thing happened today. I'm listening to the player interviews. To Sean Bishop meets with the media in the day and age where everybody says these kids only care about self. These kids only care about money. They don't care about the team. They don't care about the Power T. They don't care about their coaches. They don't care about anything but self. Let's play some of this from Deshaun Bishop. Let's take a listen.
You know, I don't know. It's like kind of just like my experience first coming here, you know. I took that spot as like a walk-on coming on in here and like just felt kind of disrespected a little bit in that place because I know that that's not who I was, you know, coming in here. So like just more of like just proving this to myself, you know, that I can play at this level and do it at a high level, and just like just knowing that's how people looked at me before. But I mean, can't be too focused into that, but that's kind of why I still work the way I do, because you know I'm trying to be great. Like, and I believe one day that when my football career is over, that I'll look back and it'll all pay off, you know.
What was the moment like when you got put on the
scholarship recently, right? What was that?
Yeah, this year.
I think this is such a good story because a lot of us included, like, how many times have I said the story? You got a Coastal Carolina hat, you got an App State hat, and you got a Tennessee hat. You commit to Tennessee. A lot of us are going, all right, is this a scholarship or is it a walk-on? I don't know that we ever got that confirmation, but here Deshaun Bishop's confirming he was a walk-on. He chose to walk on at Tennessee because he felt like he could play at this level. That's called playing for the T. Let me tell you something. If you're a walk-on, unless there are certain circumstances where you're trying to get away away from an NCAA investigation and you have scholarship reductions and some people pretend that they're a walk-on, but they're really not. They're getting NIL money behind the scenes. But allegedly, if that happened, that's different. Deshaun Bishop chose to walk on here. Guess what? He's not getting an NIL deal. He doesn't have a scholarship. He chose Tennessee because he grew up in Knoxville. He grew up a Tennessee kid, and it was his dream to play for the Power T. That means something to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of kid that you want coming into the program. Somebody that wants it, somebody that has that grit and determination, and there's a lot to be said for somebody that is willing to pay their own way, to walk on, go through the 2 days, all the workouts, all the practice, and they don't have that luxury of the full ride and the scholarship and all of that. They still put in all that work and a lot of times that much more because they're trying to prove themselves.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I know we're kind of switching over from football to basketball, but go back and look at the video of Meshack, man. I mean, I know it was a heartbreaker the way we went out, with Houston and everything, but go back and watch that video, man. Like, I mean, for Meshack and even, Zakai, man, like for them to shed tears and for even Meshack to say that he was like, look, I wanted to play for Barnes, man. Like I wanted to show everybody that how good of a coach he is. And I wanted it for him. And to me, that's another prime example of yeah, man, look, it's not all about money, man. It's they play for the Power T. They play for their coaches, man. I mean, NIL and all that stuff, man. Like when you get kids like that, money's in the back of their head, man. They come to Tennessee to prove it to their work ethic that they can play at this level and to advance to the next level, whether that's, NFL, NBA, whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, it's not all about the money sometimes. It's really not what all with some of these kids.
Yeah. And, I will say this too, there's steals to be had at the running back position in general. I know Boogie's spoken about it at nauseum here about, who Tennessee's choosing to target with the bigger NIL bill fold, the quarterbacks, the edge rushers, the offensive tackles, the blind side, what have you. But you're going to find diamonds in the rough like these. And a lot of these running backs, guys, the days of all the junior All-American kids, all the Pop Warner kids wanting to be a running back because it's the cool position are dead and long gone, right? Those kids are being wide receivers, quarterbacks, right? The running back's not the sexy position out there anymore. So a lot of those kids who are coming up playing running backs are dogs and do want to play ball. So I think this coaching staff's kind of happy living in that zone. It will be interesting, of course, to see if we get Mr. Hitter on campus and can get him in the boat. He'll be kind of one of the higher commits we've ever put into that position. But man, whenever you hear about people like Deshaun Bishop, you just root for them, without fail.
I'm going to hear more because he goes on to talk about when he actually got that scholarship offer. And man, just again, I was talking to my wife. First of all, Kaner completely puts Deshaun Bishop not on blast, but did a callback to something he said. And man, he was a deer in headlights. And I was like, bro, can you not pump the brakes a little bit? That was aggressive. But it just, and we kind of went back and forth and he was just talking about what a good kid Deshaun Bishop is. But let's hear more, man.
It's felt kind of like a little bit of relief, just a little bit the hard work is paid off. Again, goes to just being blessed. Because I know a lot of kids in Knoxville would love to be an opportunity I have. And I know not a lot of people from my city kind of gets this opportunity like I have. And that's another thing why I feel blessed to be in the spot I am. Because I never really knew if I was going to get put on scholarship, and that's where your faith comes in. And, you know, you have a lot of people like saying, are you, you know, like, you think this will actually work out, you know, but just believing that I can do it, you know, and I've done it at such a high level and going to continue to do it at a high level. So,
Sean, you mentioned,
yeah,
I guess it was, last fall when you got hurt.
Here's the question. Kaner's asking because he talked about how last fall he got injured. And when he got injured, he had to step away from the game, and he learned who Deshaun Bishop truly was. He learned who he is as a person away from the game of football. Kaner calls back to it and says, you said you learned who you were. Who are you? And then watch poor Deshaun Bishop. He gets it together, and he delivers a solid answer, but deer in headlights here.
Or 2 balls ago, whatever. You found out who you were outside of the game.
yes.
Who was that?
Bueller.
I say that like I'm just like just like a loving person, you know, like someone that just isn't a football player. Like I figure out like stuff like do like reading is like something I picked up on, or like just being around people, being like a good brother, you know, stuff like that. Like because you get so wrapped up in football, and I just feel like that's who I was. Like even coming out of high school, you know, that feeling these like I've done a lot of good stuff, not taking none of that away from me, you know, I'm happy that I've done that. But like you get to just think, you spent a lot of time thinking of like I'm bigger than a football player. Like, and I just say that to like the youth, you know, like it's good to play football, but like don't let that be your identity. And I feel like I'm able to express myself more outside of football, if that makes sense.
You know what that sounds to me like as a guy that played in the league, played in the NFL. So he's played football his entire life. He goes to college, plays football, goes to the league. That's his job for 20 years. He retires, and then he struggles like with mental health because that was his entire identity was football. I don't know who or what I am away from football. And you're talking about a kid that's probably 20 years old and already identifying that because of an injury. Just again, man, Josh Heupel, he's changed the culture at Tennessee. Absolutely changed the culture at Tennessee.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. And you know, you got to one thing, and I know Hype does it because I've heard him talk about it. Like you got to pass these life lessons on to these young men, right? The reality of the situation is how many of them are going to play in the league, right? For over a year, I mean, or even make it their period. I can't remember what the numbers are, right? But it's less than 1%. You know, it's just such a small, minuscule amount. But you always want to teach these kids, you know, the life lessons that football teaches beyond it, and it's really important. So when you see a kid grasp it, you know, I love it. I've got this plaque that I always hang in the locker room on any team that I've ever kind of been a part of, and it has like football life lessons on it. It's sorry to get all coachy on you guys, but you know, it says, you know, football life lessons. You know, 1, you're part of something bigger than yourself, right? 2, you play, win or lose, you know, as a team or as a family with each other. Fumbles happen, but you can always recover. Keep your eye on your goals. It's not done. It's not one and done. You have 4 downs. Keep fighting all the time. Every inch of progress you get keeps you closer to a goal, gets you closer to a goal. Learn from losses. Celebrate your wins. Think like a champion, and always believe in yourself. And I think as long as coaches and the coach at Tennessee is passing along those kind of messages on how to live as a young man, I'll be proud of this coaching staff for teaching lessons like that.
Hey,
So,
man, if I say,
love
Coach,
it.
can you send me a copy of that, Coach?
I can. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, look, I
can.
want to plaque that, hang that in my house somewhere.
Done.
Done.
That's
Done.
Coach Jay's maxims.
I was going to say, X is going to hang it above his door and slap it on the way out.
Yeah, exactly.
That is done.
Right there by his Butch Jones picture.
Oh,
I mean, you know.
That is done and done. I'll send you. I think I have a download. I'll send it to you for sure, X.
All right. I'm about to say, because it's funny, I actually have a sign on, of course, in my bedroom, but like every day I wake up, it says stay humble and work hard. And
yes, sir.
I just look at that. And like I said, it just motivates me every single day. So, but yeah, Coach, I love that. You're going to have to give me a copy of that for sure.
Absolutely, sir.
Let me get a super chat from Rocky Top Tom for 10. I'm going to miss this stream tonight, but how about scheduling Georgia Tech? We all needed to appreciate that one hell of an old rivalry. Well, Tom pops in the chat, drops a $10 super chat, which we greatly appreciate, and leads us to the next topic, and that is this: Tennessee, Georgia Tech, scheduled home and home. And let me jam through this real quick from utsports.com. Tennessee and Georgia Tech have finalized a home and home football series for 2026-2027 seasons, announced Wednesday. The Vols will travel to Atlanta to face the Yellow Jackets on September the 12th. Georgia Tech will make the return trip to Neyland Stadium the following season in 2027. Now, one thing worth noting, we don't know if that game is going to be at Bobby Dodd Stadium or if it's going to be in the new dome down there in Atlanta. That's something to keep an eye on. The series agreement replaces Nebraska on Tennessee's schedule after the Cornhuskers canceled meetings in 26 and 27. Here's a quote from Danny White. After Nebraska canceled the series, our main focus was to secure another home-and-home matchup with an opponent from a Power 4 conference, which seemed improbable at the time. I sincerely appreciate Athletic Director Jay Batt's creativity in modifying Georgia Tech's schedule to make this possible. We look forward to seeing plenty of orange in Atlanta in 2026. Says the 2026 non-conference slate currently includes home games against Furman and also Kennesaw State. I think that Kennesaw State game was also announced today. Says Tennessee leads the all-time series 25-17-2, and the two routinely faced off decades prior. The two programs met all but 3 years from 54 to 87, though the 2026 matchup will just be the second meeting in the last 38 years. What do you think about this? You like this? Dauber, it feels way better knowing that they don't run that stupid triple option anymore.
Yeah, that's one that is gimmicky, and you kind of didn't like to see them on your schedule before, when they were, hard to game plan for. You got that crack back shot blocking issue deal that they had, so that's over and done with. But how about Danny White throwing a little more shade at Nebraska?
Love it.
Just throwing it out there, reminding everybody that because Nebraska is the one that canceled, this is what we had to do. But that's a pretty good get to fill in the schedule, because you got to realize these schedules are made out 3-4 years in advance, and to get a home and home series worked out for 26 and 27 with a Power 4 school, it's a pretty big deal, because you can't just slide somebody in. There's a lot of logistics and stuff that had to happen for that to work out. So hats off to Danny White and the athletic director at Georgia Tech. It should be opportunity for a pretty good home and home series.
Yeah, that's what I'll say too. Like I said, I don't mind playing like St. Georgia Tech. Like I said, they're kind of one of those, like you hate to see them on your schedule, because we seen it back in 2017. I don't remember. It's so funny. I remember watching that game, and yes, it was coached by of course, my favorite coach is truly Butch Jones, but barely just scraped out of that game by the skin of her teeth. But because we all know Georgia Tech is no slouch either. But yeah, I like this back and forth. It's pretty favorable, and like I said, hopefully that going into next year, after this season, we find out what our offense and defense is looking like, going into next year. It should be a pretty fun, favorable matchup, I think. Yeah, it should be pretty good.
It's almost like a name, right? Georgia Tech is a name, but Georgia Tech sucks at football.
Yeah.
Even going back to that 2017 game, I vividly remember that for personal reasons. Like that was right when my mom was at Vanderbilt, and it was like the last days, and me and my stepbrother went down, and this is the person that my mom was. Like we drive down knowing it's the final days, and we're trying to spend time with her, and she's like, "Boys, go back to the hotel. Go. You want to watch the game? Go back to the hotel, watch the game." But I vividly remember it for that. But that team sucked. But it is different. It is different because they don't run that triple option anymore. There's none of that gimmick crap anymore that you have to spend so much time in film study and developing a game plan that takes away from your conference schedule. Coach J's back, power outage, but he is alive and well, chugging that Gatorade. Hope he didn't get too dehydrated while your power was out for such a long period of time. Do you have any thoughts on this Georgia Tech Tennessee matchup?
I mean, Tom actually pointed it out earlier. We were chatting about it. Just that it's not against the Southern California team, man. Just selfish reasons. Out of old Coach Jay, I would have taken a SoCal team in a home and away. But Georgia Tech should be interesting. That can be a tricky game at times. That coach has them moving in the right direction. I was surprised to hear that Tom was so excited about it because, man, that coach can coach an offensive line, and a team that has a really dangerous offensive line is a really dangerous team. And I think they showed that against Georgia this past year and in a couple other games as well.
Yeah, definitely not a sleeper team for sure.
No, nope.
Let me hit a super chat real quick from good old Nate Pruitt. Drops a 10 spot, says, cover charge, Boogie. Howdy, Coach Jay Dauber, ex-Howdy Vols fan. God bless and go Vols. Thank you, Nate. We appreciate the super chat. We just now hit the milestone, the epic mark of 100 people watching this epic stream on a Wednesday night. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, I don't care if there's 30 people watching or 30,000 people watching. You guys always show up, show out, and show love. So thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for the support. We need your support. If we want this show to keep moving forward, keep going in the direction that we're going, we need those memberships. We're going to do a members-only stream coming up this fall. So if you're not a member, hit that join button down below. It's $1. It is only $1, but every dollar keeps this channel afloat, keeps it moving forward, and we are grateful for that. The join button is right down there below. There's also a link pinned in the chat. Also, there's another way you can support the channel. Coach Jay is trying to show you guys right now how you can support the channel. Look how accurate. Look at Kevin's emoji. Like, look, see if you can match that grin. See if you can match that smirk on your face. You got the flat bill hat on. I mean, that's pretty accurate. He's muted. And he's muted. He was looking at his phone. He's still muted. I'm gonna have to yell at Kevin. Hold on, wait. See if we can.
He doesn't have a little flavor saver.
He's got the mic on the wrong side too. The mic's on the wrong side.
The mic's on the wrong. I can flip that over though.
I mean, this is for the sake of a good plug for merchandise here. Now we're cooking. Look at that. That's perfect.
There we go.
That's pretty dang good. That's pretty dang good, pretty dang accurate. Kevin kills the merchandise. You can pick up merchandise, and we got new merchandise at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Don't worry. Don't stress. I know when you guys click the thing and you go, why does it say your design here? I'm going to have to ask Bonfire what they're doing with that. But these are Nike Dry Fit Legacy Performance hats. You guys said, Boogie, when are you going to get good hats? Now is when we're going to get Nike themed Talkin VAWLS hats. We've also got trucker hats. You can choose the color. You can go black and white, black and gray, whatever you want. And shout out James, who never listens to the show, but he likes to rock bucket hats on the golf course. So we made that just for him. Also, Nike T-shirts, hoodies. I just got my polo and quarter zip. These are quality. These are good quality. If you want a golf polo quarter zip, that's the new merchandise. We also got a windbreaker, travel mugs. It's all there. Bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. All right. I knew I would get distracted with that Deshaun Bishop stuff. Let's see. Where do we want to go next? Let's just go right into Josh Heupel. Let's go right into Josh Heupel, his press conference after scrimmage number 2, because I think there's so many good talking points in that press conference, in that media appearance after that scrimmage on Monday morning. So we're gonna jump right into that. You guys know the deal. If you want me to pause, tell me to pause, and we'll listen again. Josh Heupel coming off of scrimmage number 2 Monday morning.
Hey, good work this morning. Got some situational football in as well. Some things to clean up from that. Defense, one defense in particular, I thought had a really good day. Started really fast offensively. Some things we got to clean up just on execution and communication, but a lot of good work. So opening up.
I got to pause it already, and I got to get Coach in here talking about this. He's talking about execution and communication on scrimmage number 2. And I listened to Hype, and I made a video, and he's so good at coach speak that you can spin it a million different directions, right? It's like, I got some things we need to clean up. Well, that just means we didn't play perfect. Or is it, we have a true problem, Coach, with things that we got to clean up. But when you hear communication and execution, you heard it after scrimmage 1, you're hearing it again after scrimmage 2. Is this just the way that Coach Heupel talks to the media and it's not a concern? Or do you go, all right, is there a theme here? Do you dig into it too much?
For some reason, I thought it was a good note, scrimmage one, but maybe that's just how I remembered it. Maybe I just always am looking on the sunny side of life, possibly. It's hard because, like you said, Hype's good at coach speak. What execution and communication are they talking about? I mean, that could be anything, right, Boogie? It could be on a new install. We know they're adding new wrinkles into this offense. It could be on that. It could be on several things. It's just so hard to sit here and guess. You know what I mean on what that communication issue was. Was it communication between the center and the quarterback? Was it communication between the sideline and the quarterback, or the side, the headset, whatever you may have, like, right? But at some point, communication and execution was it, and it could just be it's not as sharp as you like it too, right? Like this offense, we've all seen it when it's running super, super fast and super, super smooth. It's seamless, right? But in order to do so, the communication and the execution has to be like perfect, and I mean like to a T, right? Like, think about it. If you got a bunch of cogs and wheels or a perfect engine in a race car, you get one little piece not running right, one little belt not ticking right in the timing, it's going to mess up the whole machine, right? And football is like that. We like to say that it's irreducibly complex, right? You take away one piece of the cogs, of the machines, of the gears that make it go, and the whole thing doesn't work, right? It's irreducibly complex. So when I talk about communication, that's what I mean is it's got to be not just good. And he always talks about it's not perfect. It's not going to be. And football isn't played perfect, but you need to execute perfectly, or the machine's not going to run. The engine's not going to run like it should.
Well, prime example of that, Coach Jay, is going back to the offense this past season. You had games where the offensive line couldn't get out of their own way.
Right.
Penalties, pre-snap mistakes. You had drops from the wide receivers. You had up and down quarterback play. So it is. And
fumbles on the mesh point, fumbles by the quarterback on the mesh point, fumbles by the running back on the mesh point.
So
Exactly.
it's a case of, and Coach Heupel has said it before, all 11 on the field have to be working together.
Yeah,
being in a canoe, you got to paddle on the right side. If you're fighting each other, you just spin around in a circle.
Right, because like I said, hearing saying Coach Hype said that there's communication errors, and of course this is not me throwing dartboards at a certain player or anything like that, but kind of gives me when Joe Milton was at quarterback and there was communication errors there. So hopefully this won't be a theme to where it's kind of go back to that, because there were times that, the offense didn't run as very smooth because of those communication errors. But then as the season went on, we kind of seen the offense start to kind of get a little bit better, had a few ups and downs, of course. And now going into this season, we got a bunch of young cats, coming in. So now, I mean, it's just probably just going to be growing pains,
Yeah, and it's just hard to guess. Like I said, there's so many levels of communication. I know someone just brought up the center, right? But there's center to quarterback, there's center to guard, there's tackle to tackle, there's running back to quarterback, quarterback to running back, there's quarterback to wide receiver on option routes and the read against the defensive fronts. All these fall under the communication level for an offense. So it's just really hard to sit here and guess what exactly he's talking about. But I would venture to bet that all the forms of communication could be sharper and cleaner, specifically in the spring after practice or scrimmage number 2.
Right.
All that escalates to, like, everything you just said about communication, center to guard, the tackles, the quarterback, all that communication, guess what? It escalates when you're going up tempo. Like now the communication is key because we're looking over getting our signal. We're trying to get on the same page and go quick. And I think it's fair to mention that Coop's gone because Coop's been the center at Tennessee since Hype's arrived. But it sounds like William Satterwhite gets it between the ears. So we'll see. We'll see. And again, you can spin this. I could have made a video after scrimmage number 2 and gone full scorched earth negativity, or I could have gone complete positivity. It's all how you take that information in and what you want to do with it, how you want to spin it. Because the reality is you got Coach G, who's never happy and talks about how everybody sucks and everybody needs to get better. And then you got Coach Inge, right? Every linebacker in that room is an all-SEC first-round NFL draft pick if you listen to Coach Inge. It's all about but that's all we can do, right? That's why we sell the channels for the fans, by the fans, because we do the same thing that everybody in the chat does. We speculate and we do what we want with it. X, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, well, looking at Hype's face right now, like his body language, you can tell he is not happy.
But good, like Coach Jay said, I hope he's never happy. Or maybe somebody in the chat said, I hope he's never happy. I hope he's never happy.
Right here, he is not happy. Like something happened in scrimmage where and it probably was on the offense. Like, he ain't happy.
And maybe that's part of it too, because he's Coach, you said, after scrimmage 1, it seemed kind of upbeat, seemed kind of positive. The offense won the day. The offense won scrimmage number 1. So now the defense wins scrimmage number 2. Your offensive minded coach, he ain't happy about it.
Yeah. And you want to look, you gotta love him and hate him all at the same time too, right? As a coach. I mean, there's days
you saying you hate offensive coordinators. I mean, your track record kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard, is that you hate offensive coordinators. That's what I heard. I don't know if anybody else has heard that.
It's true.
Was that a text message?
I got a
text
little
message.
It might have been. I got a little bit of hate for any offensive people instead of defensive. But what I was saying is, like,
me too.
There's days I walk on a practice field, and I'm upbeat and I'm hitting with the players, and smacking them around. Hey, what's good? 2, 3. What are we doing today? Blah 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 blah. And then there's some days where I'm like, you know what? The second I step across this line, I'm pissed off. I'm mad all damn day. We're gonna run until I get tired. We were doing a drill the other day, and I was talking to Tom was texting me, and I sent him a picture of people. And you can ask Tom in the chat.
Are they puking?
I sent him a picture of him doing gassers, and I said, Hey, I just told him we're running until Tom gets tired. And someone yelled out, "Who's Tom?"
Oh God. So in other words, they're still running. Dude, all right, we're about to move this clip forward. And this next direction of the clip is what I kind of base my video on. And as I'm making it, I'm like, Tom's like fist pumping in his living room list. And Tom's not even in the chat right now, which makes it even more funny. But let's listen to this next part, because we can speculate on that first opening statement. But there's some things that concern me in this next statement. And I want to kind of have a good little conversation with this.
Scrimmage, you talked about some pre-snap things that need to be cleaned up. Do you feel like that took a step in the right direction this week?
Yeah, just both sides of the ball. A few more penalties than we had in scrimmage 1. We got to play smarter, play cleaner. That was true offensively, but on the defensive side of the ball as well. Got to continue to grow in the way that we play.
So this statement is maddening. It's maddening. I'm trying not to overreact to it. Scrimmage number 2, both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively. Both sides had more penalties in this scrimmage than they did the first scrimmage. So we took a step backwards. We talked about a theme. If something becomes a theme, I think X said, is that when it's a cause for concern? And like, we can talk about execution and communication, and you can kind of point to the young wide receiver room. You can point to the young offensive line, and that kind of makes sense, and that's fine. Spring is for growing, right? This is when we can grow. This is when we get better as a team, and those young guys can kind of come along. But then I go look at history. I go look at the track record, Dauber, and Heupel's teams have always been heavily penalized. It's part of who he is, and I can sit here and talk out of both sides of my mouth. I can defend it. I can make an excuse for it and say, well, of course he is. They're going up tempo. They're going fast. So there's going to be more plays, which ultimately leads to more penalties. But if you look at history, last year, 119th in the country in penalties per game. 2023, 126. 2022, that magical year. I want that, Boogie. We got to get back to that. That was the best year in the history of college football, 124th in penalties. 2021, 106th. So when you're telling me it's offensively, it's defensively, and it's a theme with pre-snap penalties, is part of that going quick? I don't know. But also defensively, lining up offsides, little things. And look back, Dauber, to last year. How many drives got killed by a false start? We're 1st and 10. Now we're 1st and 20. We're 1st and 15. And when we're going up tempo, we're off the field in no time. The other team's getting the football. So does it concern you, or are you just kind of like, not really? This is who Heupel is. It's who he's been, and he's still averaging 10 wins a year for the last 3 years.
No, it is concerning, and I think we've had the discussion before. Does it come down to is this team undisciplined? Now they're not making a lot of those bonehead tackle out of bounds, unnecessary roughness type penalties, but they're like you said, can it be attributed to the offense going fast or the defense trying to play aggressive, trying to get that extra, half a second jump on the snap? But when it boils down to it, the thing is that they're not at the point where they're overcoming these mistakes. They're costing this team. That they come up at critical points in the game that either kill a drive, like you said, or extend a drive for your opponent. And those are things that they're hard to, it's hard to recapture that momentum. It is deflating to get a 3rd down stop, but then you turn around and see, laundry on the field and the other team's extending the drive, and then they, continue on down the field and score. So that's, or, you pick up the 1st down and, Nico scrambles and extends a play, makes something happen to turn around, and an offensive lineman, not even near the play was holding. It's those little things right there that, do they really impact the actual play, or is it laziness and lack of discipline? But I do think, it is, like you brought up the history. I think it is one of those. I mean, it's kind of indicative of a Josh Heupel team, but at the same time, you've got to look at where this team has been. Yeah, they're up there, at the end in the ranking in number of penalties, but offensively they've been a high scoring team. Defensively, they've been able to be a high scoring defensive team, and it's one of those things. It's kind of a give and take. But on the other hand, you think if they clean this up, how much better could they be?
X. Yeah. And to piggyback off that what Dauber is saying, I say, of course, I'll throw it to you, Coach. How do you coach and teach a player discipline? How do you do it to where, like Dauber said, like you don't have those mistakes and all these penalties and everything else? So like, how do you? Because coaches, I know, like saying coaches, they can tell us players, they can tell the players so much of how to execute a play or whatever the case may be, a formation, whatever. But it boils down to, like I said, just what I'm saying, how do you just execute discipline? Like, I mean, how do you really do that as a coach?
I mean, number one, you got to have just good discipline in general. Like, and we talked a little bit the other week about it, about, do you just run it, make them drill something a million times, and repetitions super important, right? Drilling things is important mentally to create muscle memory, so you're not thinking about it's important. And I think this team does get disciplined. I mean, we heard last year about the defense winning a scrimmage pretty decisively and staying to run gassers after, right? So that's someone you're beating it into. But another thing that you need that's equally and as important is muscle memory, and beating them into them is just buy-in, I think. It's an old football adage. It's like, if you do the little things, you have a chance to do big things. And Dauber and you were illustrating the reason that is true with a lot of these, small penalties causing large problems and preventing Tennessee from doing big things. I mean, not that I thought the Ohio State game would have gone differently, a different way than it currently went, but there was a play in that game early where Tennessee had a really, really costly penalty on defense, and they would have punted, and we would have got the ball, and it ended up that we got the penalty. Ohio State got a first down touchdown, and momentum swayed the other way, and before you blinked, the game was out of control. Football's
that
funny,
face
like
mask,
yeah, football's funny like that. So if I were coach, I would make that play so clear to them in a couple other plays because I'd want them to buy in. I want them to understand that, hey, you really, really want to do big things. You want to go out there and you want to win this SEC championship. You want to win a national championship. You need to do these little things right. If you want to have a chance to do big things, you have to really care, and you have to sharpen this knife. Like, we'll give you the whetstone, but I can't sharpen your knife for you. You got to do that.
By the way, I want to shout out James. James in the chat. James just picked up. I just got an email notification. Why not shout out somebody showing some love to the channel, just like it's a super chat? James just picked up quarter zip over at bonfire.com/store/talking balls. And if you want merch and you don't want to pay for it, I challenge you guys. We can double the chat. We get 200 live viewers. 200 live viewers will give away 2 free shirts from bonfire.com/store/talking balls. So share out the link. Go to Twitter right now and say Boogie and the boys are live. Come check it out. Having a great conversation about spring camp. You need to be here. Go to Facebook. Post it in every Tennessee football Facebook group and say, this is a great show. Come hang out. I guarantee you, if you guys go to work, if you guys become the street team, we'll double the chat. We'll have 200 people watching, and we'll give away a couple of free shirts. But for now, we're not giving away anything. Y'all let me down. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. Not really. But let's hear more from Josh Heupel.
You obviously got a number of guys banged up. What's the challenge in scrimmaging, and how do you structure it to where you can maximize what you want to get out of a day like today?
Yeah, the game hasn't changed. You got to be physical. You got to play with alignment and technique. You got to play assignment sound. So we've tried to balance that throughout the course of spring. But at some point, you got to get the work that you need to grow as a team too. So on days like today, we've placed an emphasis on that.
So like I said,
Lewis isn't the only one with an increased opportunity for playing time this year, but what kind of camp and what kind of scrimmage did he have today?
Yeah, Peyton's had a great spring. He's got a lot more comfort and understanding in the scope of what we're doing. It should be that way in year two. He grew throughout the course of last year too. But he's done a really, really good job. That's with the ball in his hands, but it's also playing without the ball. All those running backs have done a good job of growing throughout, the first, I don't know, we're past the halfway point at this way, but have really grown fundamentally in playing without the football, and they've all, continued to take strides in the understanding of what we're doing, in particular the young guys. A lot of good competition in that room.
I loved watching, again, the media appearances today. Darrell Sims spoke. Star Thomas spoke. Deshaun Bishop obviously spoke. They asked Deshaun Bishop about Star Thomas transferring him. He said, I was glad. I was grateful. It's a guy that's going to come in this room and push me to be better, and also a veteran guy, which I felt like we needed in this room. And again, that just goes back speaking to the culture. But when you talk about the running backs, hearing what they do with the ball in their hands and without the ball in their hands, like Deshaun Bishop coming along in pass protection. Peyton Lewis is a young guy that is coming along in pass protection. I don't know. It's going to be running back by committee, but I'm not mad at, I'm not mad. I don't know. We've led the conference in rushing the last 2 years. I don't know that drops off this year. And Deshaun Bishop or Dylan Sampson was a dude, but I think this group as a whole, I don't think we're going to drop off in rushing production.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think so either.
Nope. We'll be just fine at running back. Just fine. I think we got enough weapons and enough guys to have diversity in their game that we'll be just fine. I think they'll all take a step forward too.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Proof will be in the poison. Just
Yeah, because I think the big, of course, or the two big question marks I think on offense were concerning is, like I said, the offensive line and how the wide receivers are looking. But I think our running back room, yeah, I think we're still going to be consistent. We're not going to drop off. So, but definitely see what your O line looks like and see how these wide receivers do. But yeah, we're, like I said, boys, we're going to see a lot this coming Saturday, and then of course we'll come back here and we'll talk about it. But I think that's mainly the two question marks that everybody's concerned about is the O line and the wide receivers.
I'll tell you what. We'll wait. We'll talk about the offensive line in just a minute. My confidence is building with that group.
You mentioned that you started fast offensively today. What did you like about the execution when you were playing at that higher tempo?
No, just defensively started.
She didn't hear a word he said. Not a word he said.
Extremely well early in the scrimmage offensively. Some execution that we got to clean up. That's guys that are skill players out on the perimeter with some of our protection stuff too. All in all, there's some things that we got to do at a better level today.
Just look at the roster. You can tell there's a lot of young guys that are going to play this year. Do you think those guys get the urgency of that there's opportunities immediately?
I love this quote.
That's
love it.
affected how they've approached spring?
Well, they get the urgency of the competition. Grade those guys every day. Certainly understand that you don't just put the Tennessee helmet on and positive things happen for you on game day. This is a game where you got to go make it happen. All those guys are in the growth, talking about the young guys in particular, right? Like there's not an end destination, man. It's a journey to continue to grow, to be the player that you need, and then to operate 11 guys operating as one, offense, defense, and all special teams too. So, we're a long ways from kickoff. We got a chance to be a good team, but we gotta continue to grow.
How's Boo handling the dual duties this spring, and what has he brought to the offensive side to this point?
When you do that, there's a whole nother workload that you got to take on because you got to understand what's going on both sides of the football, and he's done a really good job. Spent a lot of extra time in here, learning what we're doing offensively, being able to handle the structure of the offense. We're intentional in what positions we're putting them in during the course of practice today during scrimmage, and trying to manage that side of it. He's worked hard, and you can look at him as a punt returner to see the skill set when he has the ball in his hands, that he's got a chance to be a dynamic playmaker.
How do you evaluate your quarterbacks today, including deep ball accuracy? What did you see from those guys in camp against you?
A couple plays down the field that I really liked. We got into a 4-minute situation. There's some things that we can clean up in the operation of that. That's the first time that they've had that this season, this spring. And all in all, there's some real positives, but there's the things that we got to clean up, and that's all the guys that are in the room.
See, like when he says that, I'm not concerned. When he's like very positive, some big plays down the field, some things when it's like kind of tacked on to the end of the sentence that we got some things we need to clean up. I feel like that's that's a coach striving for perfection versus when you open the thing saying we got some communication issues, execution issues, some things we got to clean up. And then you say from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, what does it look like? Well, we were more penalized on both sides of the ball. The opening statements concern me. That's why when I listened to this originally and I made that video, I got some concerns. And do I think, oh God, we're going 7-5 like some psychopaths? No, I don't. And that's what spring is all about. That's what spring is all about. Now let's wrap it up. Let's finish it up on Saturday with the orange and white game. Let's put the work in throughout the summer, and let's continue to get better in the fall. And I think this team still has a college football playoff run in them. But I said this on this channel when 2 years ago they're talking about drops, and then Joe Milton goes out there and what do the wide receivers do? Drops. If I see it and it becomes a theme, then it becomes a concern. And I'm an optimistic guy. I'm a positive guy, but I am just saying what he just said just now is different than what he said at the top of the interview.
Yeah, and Boog, and then this is the thing of it too, man. Like I said, because when I played basketball and stuff, like I said, like you can have a bad practice. I mean, on
Mhm.
both sides, the defense can have a bad day, the offense can have a bad day, and when you have both sides just having an off day, then your whole day just turns to shit. So I mean, and probably this scrimmage was probably just a bad day for both sides. I mean, like, yeah, of course, like, the defense, took the victory, always. But I mean, I just look at it as a whole. Like you said, like Josh Heupel's striving for perfection on both sides. And if you have one side that's successful and the one that's not the other, then you kind of miss the whole objective. It's the whole team, like both sides of the ball, is supposed to strive for perfection, strive for greatness, not just one-sided. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of just take this whole interview as Josh Heupel kind of course, coach speaking, everything just coming out to say like, yeah, like this was a bad scrimmage practice, but we're going to come back, regroup, get better. And going forward, we just got to grow.
The one thing I love.
We talk about practice.
We talk about practice.
What else are we going to talk about, Dauber? Basketball?
Yeah. The one thing I love about coaching, like the Pop Warner kids, as opposed to high school kids, or any level above the young kids, is you get to like have a couple scrimmages against teams, like live contact scrimmages. So you kind of get a sneak peek at what you've got, like at your hand. Because I'll tell you what, I've been on a lot of high school teams where you kind of might have a feeling, but you might get surprised. You might think you have something totally different. I mean, Florida State's head coach might have gone in the last season thinking he had a 9-10 win team.
Right.
And it jumped up and bit him, right? So that can happen in football. I've talked about a little on here. There are telltales that I look for and listen for in practices, but it's hard to know sometimes until that first kickoff on a Saturday morning in September, what you're dealing with when you're just practicing each other.
And I think we are talking about spring practice here, and
oh yeah.
Coach Heupel's tempering expectations, and I think you've got to do that as well, because you look at where this team was last year, and I think you can't come out and say, well, we made the playoff last year, we're making the playoff this year.
No,
because I mean that does not serve yourself well as the head coach. And you gotta let these guys know, hey, we have a goal to push for. And I think a comment that he made a few minutes earlier was, you put on the Power T helmet and good things happen, but it's not just given to you. You got to work for it. Right. And I think that's a mindset right here. There's going to be kinks to work out, all those things. You got new guys in the program. It's going to be, and this is the time to do it. Not 4 weeks into the season when you're getting ready to, run the gauntlet of conference play. You don't want to be changing stuff up then.
Yeah, I would rather have growing pains now in a spring practice than, like you said, Dauber, than going into SEC play down the regular season and we still see no improvement whatsoever. That is very concerning.
Yeah, but at the same time, like for those of us going to the spring game, if you're expecting to walk into the spring game and see Nico throw the ball 30 times and put up 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, that's just not gonna happen, like under any circumstances, right? Like they're just not gonna show us that much. We might see George go out there and throw for some crazy number or something, but
what I want to see is Jake. I want more confidence with Jake so that we can free Nico when the fall rolls around.
Right, but I still think you're going to see a dose of vanilla from Jake, don't you, Boogie?
Maybe. George. You're probably right. George will probably be the guy that everybody's talking about coming out of the orange and white game. Wouldn't surprise me at all. George McIntyre and walk-on wide receiver Dayton Sneed. That's who everybody's going to be talking about coming out of the spring game.
That's right, baby. Dayton Sneed, why isn't he starting? One receiver had 2 drops. Where the heck is Sneed,
Where's
man? Where's Sneed?
We're going to sell shirts. Free Sneed.
Free Sneed.
Sneed. Right here on the Talkin Vols Network. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. But that's where you have to sit. Like I get excited about the spring game. I got excited last year just seeing Edwin Spillman in a football uniform. It's like that's a dude. Like that is a dude. He didn't walk up to me, coach, at a camp and say, "Hey, are you Boogie Bentley?" He walked up to you. Like he didn't walk up to. I didn't get to see him in a football uniform like you did. So I like seeing what dudes look like and seeing just a little glimpse, a little taste, right? Enough. It's football. It's freaking football in April. Sign me up for it every day. I don't care if it's walk-ons. I don't care if it's practice players. I do not care. What's Miss J saying, Coach? I know you're talking to her. What's she saying? She's saying tell Boogie to shut up. Can he wrap this up so you can spend time with me? Because you can spend time with him all weekend long.
I can't tell you what was going on. It's a family show.
Is it a Sunday night? Sunday night Talking Balls. Is Genuine playing in the background?
No.
Is that what's happening?
No, it wasn't that.
All right.
I was.
Let's just play the clip.
Yeah.
How did the offensive line perform today, and how would you assess the progress of that, rebuilding that group overall?
Yeah, I like where the group's going. There's competition. They understand that day in and day out, what's going on the practice field and how they're getting graded. Today, I thought there were at times that we executed well in the run game. I don't think it was a complete day where we executed at the level that we're capable of, as an entire unit the entire day.
All right, let's talk about the offensive line because X mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to come back to it. It's all eyes are on the wide receivers. All eyes are on the offensive line because they're young, they're new. We're starting 4 new guys on the offensive line. But let me tell you something, boys. It's like we said about the wide receivers. Just because they're new doesn't mean they can't be better. I still need to see some things there. But what I'm hearing about this offensive line is starting to fire me up. I'm starting to get excited. Lance Hurd has a chip on his shoulder. Shamrod Umarov is having – like, Coach, you said it last year during the spring game that you thought he looked better on the interior. Now the buzz coming out of camp is that he is having a great spring camp. Max Anderson, a guy that we thought was going to be the backup center to William Satterwhite, is also getting praise for a great camp. And then William Satterwhite, again, has it between the ears. Does he have the physicality? I think Sam Pendleton, I think Wendell Moy Jr. Through the portal are dudes that are going to start for this football team. Is it David Sanders? Is it Larry Johnson at right tackle? Larry Johnson again. So all these question marks, and now I just rattled off, I don't know how many guys, 9, 10 guys. Bennett Warren having a good spring. That's depth, boys. That is depth. And now we're no longer talking about a question. We're talking about competition, and we're talking about depth. And that excites me, and that can shut down this LRB crap. And I get it. It's spring camp. We got to get to fall camp. We got to get to SEC ball. But dang it, I'm starting to think this offensive line may be better in 2025 than it was in 2024.
100% agree. I've heard great things about Sham, and I was pretty high on him before he got injured. So it's good to see him coming along. Shout out to VolQuest. If you guys aren't watching their little spring videos, go watch them. They're cool. You don't get too much from them, right? Just some endos, but they put one out, I think, yesterday or early today, where they were showing a drill where Larry Johnson was working the solo sled, and then David was working the solo sled after. And there's this interesting moment where the coach is giving Larry Johnson, who looked really great during the drill, a note about his elbows being higher. And when you have, on the sled, it's got like fake arms, kind of, right? The solo sled. And you want to get underneath, like in the armpits, and lift and push up, right? And drive with your elbows in tight. But it's really hard to get your elbows all the way up, and you want them up so you can extend and drive and steer, right? Well, Larry Johnson gets the note that after a really good rep that, hey, on this middle rep, your elbows weren't high enough, right? And then he instantly corrects it, which I love, on the next drill. But then David Sanders comes up And I'll tell you what, man, you want to go watch textbooks on how to go put your elbows inside, push up, and drive. I thought I was watching Trey Smith or something. And I'm not using hyperbole. Like, it looked like an NFL player working the solo sled. And it was the most excited in that brief moment that I've been about David Sanders this whole time. Not saying his high school film isn't impressive, and everything I've heard and seen in our short interview with him, Boogie, was also impressive. But just that little set where nothing needed coached other than just continue to drive, man, it got me fired up about the possibilities of that young man over the next couple of years at the University of Tennessee. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
David Hall for 2 says, GBO, thanks, guys. Thank you, David. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you for tuning in. And then let me let X and Dauber kind of chime in on this. Where did it go? Jamie Roberts says, call the starting 5 if the season started tomorrow. I'm going Lance Hurd, Wendell Moy Jr., William Satterwhite, Sam Pendleton. I think David Sanders starts, man. I do. I think Larry Johnson is doing all the right things. I think he's in shape, but I think David Sanders is who we think he is. I think it's going to be impossible to keep him off the field. Dauber, what are your thoughts on the offensive line? If you want to rattle off your starting 5, you can.
I think I'm right there with you, with the exception of I don't know that Sanders starts to begin the year.
I could see Larry Johnson starting to start the year easily.
I think Sanders works his way into that position of starting, but like you said, there's a lot of dudes and a lot of dudes behind those dudes. So that is something that is a good thing. We're starting to develop depth, and we've got guys that have been in the system. So. It's not, coming in and it takes, Hurd was supposed to be a dude coming in, and it took him a good handful of games to really kind of find his way in this system, because it's not the easiest for an offensive lineman to, especially when it is clicking, when things are rolling. It's tough.
Plus, he was also battling injuries too.
Yeah. So it's good that we've got some guys with experience, and it's good that we've got some young guys that have some talent and ability, and I like the depth. It's still a little bit concerning because you got to show me, do it in a game. Let's put some consistency together. And we hope that Coach Heupel's not making a lot of faces like he's got on the screen right now.
Shut up, Big Dave. Shut up, Big Dave. Shut up, Big Dave. Shut up, Big Dave. Everybody crucified me for buying this T-shirt. Boogie, what are you going to do when he flips to Ohio State? Well, he didn't, and we're all good.
There you go. But
you need to screen grab that freeze on Heupel there, Boogie.
I don't know. We could maybe use that for a thumbnail after a loss or when we're pissed.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, X.
Oh, but my starting 5 is right there with you, Boog and Dauber. Like I said, I think my concern is, of course, the center position, because we always jump on here. We always talk about, even Coach Jay's even said it. Your center he's the engine. I mean, like without him, without it clicking between him and Nico, like this whole thing's just not going to work. But also what Dauber said too is that you got to show me, because before, I think it was in the first practice, we heard a lot of praise about Satterwhite and everything. So, but if Max Anderson, like saying, if he's got a grip on the position and there's great communication there between him and Nico and everything, then yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. And of course, the depth that's there, I love it. So, but I'm kind of like what Dauber did. I say you got to show me, especially at the center position, because if we don't have that on lock and key, then this whole offense is just not going to click the way that it's supposed to be clicking.
So
yeah,
go ahead, Coach.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say I'm with you, Dauber. Before the season, I did predict Larry Johnson would start the first game, and I for now I'm sticking with that, but I'm teetering, man.
You gonna change that mind
I'm
come fall
teetering,
camp.
and I'll tell you, I might change it after Saturday. We'll see, but I'll tell you what, I'll list my starting five, and I do have not every position, but a couple positions with a slash because I believe these people are going to play a lot of football and give us blows, right? And that's important, right? We saw the
Yes.
importance of conserving our defensive line last year. It's equally as important for our offensive line when you want to move fast. So I think Larry Johnson's going to be important either way, no matter when David Sanders takes that spot. But for now, I'll have Johnson slash Sanders. I got Moy at the other guard. I got Satterwhite slash Pendleton because I think Sham gives you options there. If Satterwhite something goes wrong there, I think Sam gives you options there. At the other guard, I have Pendleton slash Sham, and at the other tackle, I have Lance Hurd. So we'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be really interesting. I'm anxious as heck to take a look at this offensive line. They should be able to get seasoned really well. This coaching staff should be able to blood them early and often with the defensive line we have. So we'll see what they got.
I'll tell you one thing that I can almost guarantee you. We're not going to know until the very first game when they tee it up, kick it off. Because when the depth chart gets released, you know what it's going to be.
A bunch of oars.
Yeah,
But you know what I like
believe,
about that,
I believe
though?
all these guys are going to play game one. I do.
Exactly.
Everyone I
And
just
that's the
mentioned.
beautiful thing because going into spring, I'm like, who are the five going to be? And people can crucify Heupel for the portal and not getting a big sexy name. Getting Sam Pendleton and Wendell Moy Jr. was huge. And hearing that Lance Hurd is healthy and I love that he's got a chip on. I love it. Just the same way as Deshaun Bishop was talking about. People doubted me. He even mentioned the star rankings. He's like, people with a better star ranking than me. That put a chip on my shoulder. There's Rocky Balboa. Me and Coach had this conversation the last 2 to 3 weeks. I love it. I love guys playing with a chip on their shoulder. But I went from thinking, all right, who do we have five true offensive linemen to I think we may have 9 to 10. And that is crucial. And like Coach said, if you can spell somebody and you can stay healthy, you can stay fresh, man, that is, I think this offensive line could be better than last year's. Call me crazy. Being a veteran doesn't always mean you're a better player. Doesn't mean you're a better athlete. Doesn't mean you're a better football player. So I'm excited about this offensive line. My goal, I'm kind of frustrated. It's almost like a snap and clear. Shout out Butch Jones and a reset. It's like we have to now rebuild relationships with a whole new batch of high school seniors and try to get them to be willing to come on and to do interviews. And like, I think we hit a home run last year, but we got some connections on the football team this year. My goal, I want Sam Pendleton on this channel. And Mama Pendleton, if you're watching, I know you watch. If you're tuned in, tell Sam to respond to my DM. Tell Sam to respond to my DM. And an open invitation to the Pendleton family to come by G10 on Saturday and hang out with the Talkin VAWLS Network. All right, let's hear more.
You were complimentary of the young wide receivers after the first scrimmage. Did you see them sort of build on it over the week leading into this, and how did they perform today? Did you see sort of growth that you want to see?
Those guys have been really consistent as far as what we're getting out of them on the practice field and the meeting room. You see them continuing to take strides. I thought they both performed really well today. Talking about the two new young guys that were in that room.
On the flip side, with the young defensive backs, where do you think they progress?
Do you all want to chime in on the wide receiver room? Any thoughts?
I think we're
Hey,
good.
Coach Jay, tell us where we can get a shirt that says you're muted. Look at that. I love that shirt. It's awesome because it's on you. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah, I was telling Miss J before I popped on here that I felt a little weird wearing my own shirt.
Wearing a shirt with
a
your face
little
on it?
emoji on it. I kind of felt like the guy that wears the shirt of the band he's going to see at the concert. You know what I mean?
Oh no, dude! Why is that my number? Have I said that on? That is my number one rule. If we're going to see a band, you don't wear that band's shirt. You wear something similar, like a similar band from the state, but not that band's shirt. You don't ever do that. You don't ever do that. Anyway.
You go, yeah. Well, actually, I will always bring up the shortcut because this time I got a little advertisement actually on my corner of my screen, Boogie, from YouTube. I could just click. I mean, not on this screen.
Oh,
on my YouTube screen that I could just
for
click
merch.
and it
I
takes me
saw
there.
that too.
But yeah, but it's like, what is it? www.bonfire.com/talkinvols.
Oh, you were close. You were
Is that
so
it?
close. I mean, you were really close.
Man.
You were really close. But I also think if you go through that ad, I think YouTube takes a cut too.
Yeah.
So
If you
YouTube
just
takes a
hit the
cut.
little more-
Bonfire
the more
takes a cut.
button.
X takes a cut. Dauber takes a cut. You take a cut. And I'm just left
Right.
homeless. But I
What
do
are you
have
gonna do?
this sweet Nico Iamaleava autographed helmet.
Ooh, so you got something,
that's
man.
nice.
You got
Anyway,
something.
What
You
the
got
what
something.
the hell just happened, Coach? Do you want to talk about the wide receivers? Or do you want to move on?
What do you want to? Well, I mean, I think we're all in the same boat with them, man. We like the raw talent of the room. I think everyone is optimistically excited about the room, but a little bit cautious, right? About the room because it's young, and that room is insanely talented. Like they have an insane amount of talent and speed. They're really, really fast again. A ton of speed to burn. Are they going to be able to make those reads in the open field? Are they going to find the holes of the defense? Are they going to make those tough catches? Right. That remains to be seen for us as Tennessee fans. So I think we're cautiously optimistic about the room, and we all know what kind of talent is in that room. And I think we're all a little scared of an injury in that room as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And
exactly what I was going to say. Gotta
Yep.
stay healthy.
You got to get a
Right.
body. I made a video yesterday talking about the portal, looking at the roster. You have to add at least one, if not two, wide receivers. And if Amari Jefferson, I think the kicker for me is if Amari gets healthy throughout the course of the summer and you feel like he can contribute in the fall, then I think you need one. If Amari's not where you want him, I think you need two. I think you got to have two. Boo also is a wild card there too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you have, God willing, and the creek don't rise. If you have someone go down, God forbid, early, like week 1, week 2,
it's a problem.
and we didn't pick up anyone in the portal, we're going to get really, really scared because the loss of statistics and averages say that someone is going to get hurt in that room. Whether it's a week or 5 plays or 3 weeks or 5 weeks, at some point, someone's going to get nicked, right? It's football. It's not tiddlywinks.
Right.
Someone's going to get banged up at some point. The depth is a little nerve-wracking. So we'll see how they address that. And I think you nailed it on the head, Boogie. I think depending on how they feel about, the progression of Jefferson will dictate how aggressive they feel they need to get in that portal.
Yeah, and Fowl, of course, right here with that comment, I say, yeah, can Chris step up? Because we already heard it. Nico said it at the first practice. He was like, hey, I need you to be the leader of this group. Because, we seen the athleticism that, this past season, making crazy catches, saying over defenders and stuff. Then who can forget, the game-winning catch he made against the Alabama game, So, yeah, man, it's up to Chris to be the true leader and that voice of that wide receiver room. But, yeah, I'm right there with you guys, too, because looking at this depth chart, and I'm just like, yeah, you probably need to it'd be a good idea to go to the portal, add at least 2 more bodies at wide receiver, because right behind, we think, the starting guys with Mike, Chris, and Staley and all those guys, you still kind of short right there. So,
well, I'm gonna throw it back out there, and it's a word that I've hit on. I don't know how many shows that we've consistency, and it's not just about having one game where you break out. It's carrying that consistency through the season. You look at Brazil. He he had an okay year last year, but how long did it take him to get going?
And that's what concerns me, not to disrupt your point, but when we talk about, oh, we got to add a guy because if we get hurt, history tells me it's going to take you year 2 to get comfortable in this offense, Dauber.
So, I mean, that's it. It was 3/4 of the season before we were like, okay, yeah, I like what I'm seeing with him right now. And then he gets hurt. So it's one of those things. There is so much talent. But yeah, we're an injury away from true freshmen. But
or a guy from the portal that doesn't know this offense because he didn't go through spring camp because we missed out in the previous cycle. And I'm not even blaming this coaching staff. People that want to blame this coaching staff, Squirrel went so late. Most of the hot and sexy names were gone. They were gone by that point. You missed out because you didn't think Squirrel was leaving. Welcome to college football in 2025.
Yeah.
Let's hear more.
I know,
We got a couple
right?
more minutes here from
One,
Michael.
Scrimmage too, with when you talk about the next 5 days or whatever. What do you feel like where are those guys at right now?
Yeah, for me, I think after watching it, I'll have a better understanding of their overall performance throughout the course of the day. Fundamentally, and within the scope of their technique and scheme, they've continued to take strides, and you can see that in our 11-on-11, but you can see it in some of our group work where we're working those fundamentals and technique as well. It's a talented group. It's long. It's athletic. Just got to continue to grow as a player before we get to fall.
Yeah.
Earlier this season, Nico mentioned that Mike and Chris and Braylon Staley had opportunities to be that #1 type target. How did you see that connection out on the field today?
Yeah, Braylon wasn't going today. I thought the other two guys did a good
How do these
job
people
in
have
what
media
we were
passes
doing
that you didn't know that
offensively.
Braylon didn't scrimmage?
They've been
Like,
consistent.
God bless
Day in,
America.
day out on the practice field, and for them, it's just constant growth as far as within the scope of what we're doing, the fundamentals and technique, learn how to attack defenders, reading zone man, and ultimately getting on the same page with the quarterback.
What?
You mentioned Boo as well.
Catch me up, Boogie. I'm usually a little sharper with it, but Braylon just got a little too. Is that what's going on with him?
Yeah, they're saying he
That's what I
may
thought.
he may participate in the orange and white game. So he's healthy.
He's been
just
sort of
little nicked.
limited.
Yeah.
He's been limited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, not to fully put on my tinfoil hat, but if Staley's been as hot in spring camp as a lot of people feel,
Let's
then
keep him out of the orange and
Why
white game.
show him? Yeah. Oh, you know what? He's a little nicked up. Braylon won't be playing. Boo's going to focus on defense.
Yep. And we're going to keep
Nate
all of
Steed's
our
gonna play in the
offense a
slot.
secret.
Yeah.
And I hope if this whole pistol formation thing is true, I hope we don't see it one time on Saturday. Hope we don't see it one time. Like, look, I want to see everything, but I also want things to stay a little secret.
Yeah, it's going to be vanilla down. It's going to be so vanilla.
But guess what? We're going to have a good time because we're going to be there bright and early as a late night Friday at Calhoun's will let us be. And not only Calhoun's, Coach Jay's already laid out the bar we got to go to. Then we got to go back to the house. We're talking about how much bourbon I need to bring. We're going to have a good time. Me, the X Factor, Coach Jay, Coach Jay's son, Foul Ming's going to be hanging out with us. Hopefully, Dauber's going to be able to make it. We're going to have a good time. You can do that too. Come hang out with us Friday night at Calhoun's. I'm going to say 7-ish, maybe 7-ish. We'll be on Twitter. Yeah. We'll be on social media. We'll be letting you guys know. Then we're going to go hit up some bars. We're going to have a good time. And then we're going to bounce back. We're going to bounce back like true savages.
Rally.
We're going to show up early on Saturday morning in the G10 parking garage. And you guys can come hang out with us. And what I like to say, what I like to tell people is, I love a good bourbon. You know what I mean? Coach Jay, what would you say my favorite? What'd you say my favorite drink is?
Bourbon.
But what brand? If you're going to name a brand
it's
for people.
Trace, man. It's Buffalo Trace.
I mean, so what I would want to say to people, absolutely do not. No chance, zero chance. Do not bring me Buffalo Trace. I won't have a cooler ready to put it in. I won't have the X Factor there to drive me home. I won't be prepared and ready to take Buffalo Trace back to the Tri-Cities. I won't be prepared for that. So absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts. Please, please, please do not bring me Buffalo Trace to the orange and white game.
You hear that, chat? Do not.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I came home
Don't
with 3
do
bottles
it.
of liquor last year, and I was so disappointed in you guys. So do not, whatever you do, do not bring home. Let me bring home Buffalo Trace. But if you need,
you bunch of enablers.
if you need,
Yeah,
that's
you're
what I
not.
tell my
And that-
wife. It's not my fault. I come home and drink for 7 days straight. It's not my fault. Blame it on the chat. Buffalo Trace, Bullet Bourbon. I like a little Jim Beam.
I'd
orange.
bring you some, but I'm sticking to a carry-on bag only. So.
No, I'm going to take care of you in Dublin and the X Factor on Friday
Okay.
night. MG
All right.
Way for 5. Congrats, Boogie, on 30K subscribers. Boy, it's life comes at you quick. 30,000 subscribers and 100 people watching live. God bless America. I am a failure at this YouTube thing, but we are having a good time. Come hang out. G10 Parking Garage, bright and early Saturday morning. That was the point of that. I don't even remember what we're talking about. Let's go back to Coach Heupel.
Worked in well at receiver, and the young guys have worked in well. Do you have any concerns of your numbers at wide receiver?
Yeah, you want to come try out here?
That's pretty good.
Listen, ultimately, it's always about the guys in the room. A year ago, we had some guys that departed through the transfer portal. Hard to keep everybody happy at that position. I love the group that we got. As a staff, you always evaluate where you're at. On the back end of spring ball, and we'll certainly do that. But I do really like the guys that we got in there, how they work, how they compete, how they're trying to grow. That's on the practice field. It's outside of it. Like what they've done through the course of spring ball too.
Yeah, I will say this. I mean, it's early, and I want to see them live, but from a very, very teeny sample size, I really like Travis Smith and Rad Jackson. And it's a small sample size, so don't get too excited yet, folks. But early indications are good out of those 2 players.
I'm excited about their future. When I hear execution and mistakes on the perimeter, is it just freshman mistakes, right? And that's why. But at the same time, what would you rather have, a Rad Jackson, a Travis Smith that's gone through a full spring camp, or Joe Blow from some other school that comes in and only gets to go through fall camp? You know what I mean? Can that guy get up to speed in 4 weeks?
Depends on that Joe Blow.
Yeah, it does. But that's it
just depends on the guy. It depends on his football acumen. It depends just on how long they've been around college football as a whole together, and their ability to understand what's going on. Is it a similar system? Is it something totally foreign to them? All those things would play a factor in the answer to that question. But
well, I mean,
related to what you talked about earlier.
I was just going to say, even going back to Coach Heupel, talking about the guys that are in the room right now, it's learning how to read a defense, how to run your route, recognize if it's a zone or a man coverage. So there are all these little things that have to happen. And that goes back to what you just said, Coach Jay, on, the acumen of a guy that we could bring in the portal and have, moving forward, going into fall camp and into the season. If it's somebody that can come in and read a defense, that can catch the ball, that can run a good route, those are fewer things that you have to teach, because at the end of the day, it's still football. But you got to have up here in between the ears, and not just the athletic ability as well.
yeah, sure. There's a lot of kids, unfortunately, that are in high school that can't recognize cover 3 from cover 4, from cover 2 man to cover 6 under, and different things like that. And depending on how much football knowledge you have, for some of you in the chat, it might be really easy for you to recognize it. I don't really think about that, but I look at it all day. So it's, what I mean? If you're a high school kid who's just been dominating and it hasn't really mattered, all you have to know is, post route, whip route, seam route, comeback. I mean, why do you
beat my go?
Yeah.
Guy and go catch the football?
Yeah, exactly. Then it's really easy, right? But in this system, you have to be able to recognize defenses and understand not only what your route is, but why your route is, right? Like what are we trying to do with this route? There is feint routes in Heupel's system, and what I mean by a feint route is just like boxing. When you throw a feint punch or in fighting, right? This is a route that's a feint to get something to bite somewhere else. And if you don't understand that when you see this defense, I have to run this feint, then the whole offense is going to fail, not because the ball was coming to you and made a mistake, because the ball wasn't coming to you and you were in the wrong spot and didn't draw your defender where he needed to be. That this happened a lot last season, guys, with feint routes. A lot. I watched a lot of the season over again after it, and there was some noticeable ones. And if I'm noticing when I don't know what the play is, it's not good. Let's put it that way.
And that's where you're playing chess. And
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
You are trying to, and that's, I think, what a lot of people don't realize Heupel's offense and his scheme is predicated on is it's not just, fast and tempo and all that. It's spreading the field out, and it is setting up plays down the road. And then you add in, you get clicking and you add in that tempo, and when a wide receiver crosses a linebacker or a DB bites on a move, they recognize that in the booth and they say, okay, they're in this defense. We run this guy this way. The linebacker is bit, both times. Let's fill somebody where he just vacated. And it's those little things.
And there's a great play that I believe it was a Mississippi State play. It was a touchdown Nico threw in the back of the end zone to Ketzelman last year on a rollout, a broken play, and I believe it was Mississippi State. Stop me if I'm wrong, anyone, but there was a touchdown where Nico threw back against the grain against everyone and hit Kitzelman in the back of the end zone. It was because a busted route was ran that Kitzelman understood where the defense was going to be because they were covering that busted route. He dove into where he needed to be, and Nico found him. I mean, you don't get any better than that. And that's great recognition. It was one of the best plays by Nico this season. It was one, and it was set up by Kitzelman because Kitzelman's a seasoned football player, a smart football player that understands not only what we're doing and what my route is, but what we're trying to get the defense to do. And he was even so meta that he saw a mistake and was able to get to where he could use that mistake to an advantage of his, right? Which is, gosh, as a football coach, that I know they were just smiling and so happy to see that in the film room. Those are the plays that really, really tickle you as a coach and make you proud of your guys. So, they need to understand all that. Yeah, it could have been the Kentucky NG way. I remember watching the play not too long ago. It's just, how your mind works. It's, I watch a lot of film and I can't remember who it was against, but it certainly is in, if you want to go watch, I think someone's posted Nico's highlight plays for the season. You'd find it in there for sure. But yeah, really good stuff, man. So they just need to understand all that, and I hope we get Kitzelman back soon, but I don't mind that he's injured. I know Fal was talking about, can Ethan Davis help this passing game? Can Deshaun Brain, someone who's built more, these guys who are built kind of like hybrids between tight end and wide receiver, help them? Yeah, I think so. And maybe Kitzelman being hurt is a blessing, and he can get into some of these young guys' heads. Van Dorselaer has shown a lot of promise early. Deshaun Brain has shown a lot of promise early, and Ethan Davis has shown a lot of promise. So, can they kind of learn those ins and outs of coaching, those inches that you need? Will all be important. How quickly these young guys can pick up on that kind of thing.
The other thing about the passing game and wide receivers,
throw game. Throw game. Sorry.
Yeah, throw game.
Go ahead,
Come on.
Dauber.
Throw game.
Dauber.
You gotta
game.
you gotta understand what we're talking about right here. We're gonna talk about the passing game. We got to talk about the throw game. We got to talk about this.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
Go ahead, Dauber.
No, I was just going to say the other thing that I like hearing is the chemistry that seems to be developing between Nico and these guys. Not that it wasn't there last year, but they're taking those extra steps. You know, going out to Cali with Nico and working out, getting these extra reps that develops that timing and all of that. You know, that second nature. You know if it is a busted play, knowing what each other's going to do. You know, if Nico scrambles, you know, where am I breaking off the route? Vice versa. So that's something that I think with these guys that do have a high football IQ and they are uber talented, like we see, you know, getting on the same page. I think that's going to be a big plus, and you know, you can't go wrong with having good chemistry between a quarterback and wide receiver.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I agree 100% with you, Dauber. You just have to have it, and we'll see how that chemistry builds. You know, it's going to be really exciting. We get our first taste of it in the spring game, so we'll see. We shall see.
Earlier with the guys out, will that change the format of the spring game at all? What will you do for that? And I guess
Did I cut
the
you off?
growing trend nationally.
No.
Kind of going away. How do you kind of view the importance of that, or is that something that you plan to keep for the future?
Yeah, for us, it's a third opportunity to play football in a game.
We already hit this, but I still love it.
I think it's really important for the young guys. They get a chance to go out and perform in front of people. It's a part of the growth for them as we get ready for kickoff next fall. So I'm looking forward to seeing a huge crowd. You know, I'm not sure what we're limited to because of construction, but expect that thing to be packed out. It should be a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing our fans.
It's 40. I think it's 45,000. And by the way, tickets are still available. You guys want to come hang out? You guys are like, well, I wish I could go hang out with Boogie and the boys, but I can't. I can't do it because I don't have tickets. You can still get tickets, utsports.com. So go grab tickets. Come hang out. We'll be there bright and early. Maybe not 7 o'clock. Maybe we'll just stay up all night. I don't know. We're going to be there bright and early. Again, Calhoun's Friday night, probably around 7 o'clock. We're all going to be hanging out. Me, Coach Shea, the X Factor. We're trying to get Dauber to come down and hang out as well. Culberson's going to be down there with us. It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited. It's fun to put faces with names. So at the very least, if you're going to be at the game, come by G10, say hello. We will be on the top floor of G10 tailgating, having fun. And by tailgating, I mean probably a cooler of beer, and that's about it. It's not like we're going to have grills and smokers and tents. No, that's not how we roll. We're blue collar. We're blue collar. So come hang out with us. I was going to talk a little bit about the orange and white game, but let's tie a big fat bow on it. We're an hour and 45 minutes in. Come hang out with us. Come hang out with us on Saturday. Sunday night, EA Sports College Football 25 right here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then I'm thinking next Wednesday we maybe recap the entire orange and white game experience. So come tune in for that. But for Dauber, for Coach Shea, for the X Factor, my name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. I'm looking for the outro, and then I shall say, go Big Orange.
That we call